measure that one. Congratulations, Don. Our next inductee into the Madison USBC Hall of Fame is also being recognized for meritorious service. George Dorn. From his teenage years as a YABA League Secretary to decades of steadfast leadership, George Dorn exemplifies the dedication that forms the backbone of organized bowling. His service journey began at age 14 at Smitty's Lanes in Wanakee, where he learned the fundamentals of league administration that would guide his lifelong commitment to the sport. His association and leadership spans over 3 decades, serving 26 years as MBA director and advancing to vice president for 6 years. His hands-on contributions extended far beyond boardroom duties as manager of Lodi Bowl and coach of their youth bowlers while serving as a league officer where needed. His charitable spirit shines through his co-founding of 2 significant fundraising tournaments, the decade-long Zach's Buddies tournament for cystic fibrosis, and the 4-year Chris Rector Bowling fundraising tournament. These efforts showcased bowling's power to unite communities for meaningful causes. Whether staffing tournaments, inspecting lanes, delivering supplies, or distributing awards, George approached every task with methodical care and quiet competence. His reliability became a cornerstone of successful association tournament operations. George Dorn represents the essential volunteers whose behind-the-scenes dedication ensures bowling's continued success and community impact. I don't know if anybody loves bowling more than George or ever will. He's just not a big showy standout like the Sloxon over here, running around with his shirt off. George is more of the quiet, competent sort. He was always one that you knew could get things done and get them done correctly. A lot of idea factories run through association pipelines. George was a doer, an accomplisher, and he always made sure to know what he was doing. In his life, through thick and thin, good and bad, George Dorn always stepped up. He's been instrumental to this Hall of Fame over a number of years, working the spotlight back in the day when they had spotlights. Mike B reminded me of that tonight. I remember seeing the spotlight at a couple of the older Hall of Fames and thinking, who is that poor sucker back there behind that 1,000-degree spotlight, wheeling it around the room? That sucker was George Dorn. One day at tournament check-in, I find George reading the paperwork that accompanies the shift folders. It's not an encyclopedia or anything. There's some checklists, some FAQs, it's kind of a reference material. So I mentioned to him that nothing's really changed in there. It's all standard operating procedure. He's seen it 100 times. Yeah, but I like to review it anyway, just in case something is different. You never know. And this is how George operates. This service is invaluable, George, and I thank you for all the help that you've given us at tournaments all those years. It's always reassuring when you're there. But none of this may ever have come to pass if it wasn't for that fateful day in 1967 when a princess kissed a toad.
That's pretty.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome George Dorn to the Madison area USBC.
I really don't have to say much. That film kind of shows it all. But on a serious note, I would like to thank the Board of Directors and the Madison area bowling community for this honor. I feel incredibly privileged to stand up here tonight in front of my friends and family. I would especially like to thank my wife Barbara for supporting me as my partner in crime along my entire bowling career, at each and every stop along the way. She has been right there at my side, traveling the state and the country, joining tournaments and leagues, and putting up with me day in and day out for 57 years of marriage. I would also like to thank my daughter Jackie Smith, who is here this evening, along with my son Jeff, who flew in from Arizona just to be here tonight.
Boy, are my arms tired. I said, boy, are my arms tired.
I would also like to thank my incredible friends and family sitting at the tables up here in the front. And throughout my life, bowling career, they have been what makes it all worthwhile. To be inducted for Meritorious service is one of the greatest recognitions that I have ever received and represents one of the most important values that I've tried to build my life around. As I look back, I think that lesson was first taught to me when my family moved off the farm and into Wanakee proper. My friends and I were young and looking for somewhere to spend our time where our parents wouldn't be looking over our shoulder. That place was Smitty's Lanes and Dance Hall. The lanes were downstairs, as the picture shows. Dance Hall was up. The place was owned by Ed Schmidt, who at the time was well into his years. He saw us as more than just bothersome kids. He saw us as people and as potential future of this sport and this community. He taught us the ins and outs of bowling. He generously gave his time and energy to coaching us and helping us to form the first youth league in Wanakee when we expressed an interest, and he never asked for anything from us in return. Under his guidance, I became the secretary of a bowling league for the first time, though it would be far from the last. I learned how to pick up a split, to score by hand, and set pins on a busy league night. I learned that my time was something that I could give freely from without ever running out. When I turned 18, my bowling career moved to the bigger horizons of the Wanna Bowl. Ed Hellenbrand had invited me to bowl in his team, and we started to take on more of the bowling world. That year was the year the Nationals came to Madison, and I remember walking into the newly built Coliseum with that team. Having moved from the 4 lanes of Smitty's Hall in Wanakee to the 16 lanes at the Wanna Bowl, and walked into amazing 40 lanes side by side. And all the bowlers would try to get a piece of their glory. I began to see just how many people bowling could bring together. So when I was a member of the Wanakee Junior Chamber of Commerce, and talk began of bringing the youth city tournament to Wanakee for the first time, I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. We were able to bring the tournament to the Wanna Bowl, where I helped to run it, and was able to watch a future member of this Hall of Fame, Bill Pounders, win. In fact, I think I watched him win many tournaments. And wasn't hard to see that we all would be watching him win tournaments time and again for decades to come. In 1981, Ed Hellenbrand gave me an opportunity to take the next step in my bowling and in serving this community when he asked me to run the Lodi Bowl. I found myself following in Smitty's footsteps as I became a youth bowling coach, and I knew that all the lessons that he taught me were going to come in handy. I would have to be generous, truly see these young bowlers for who they were, and give them the same opportunity that had been given to me. I would even have to remember to keep those young kids off the bar tops. As Smitty was never afraid to tell us, when we were young and full of trouble, that bar top was made for glasses, not us. I was lucky enough to spend the next 5 years working with these kids as they helped to build a fantastic junior program. And I'm honored to still be bowling with many of them to this day. In 1986, Mike Reed asked me to become a board member of the Madison Bowling Association. One of my first roles with the board was to act as a lane checker for honor counts, where I had the honor of verifying the 300 games of many of the bowlers I had coached when they were just starting in youth league. I also worked many city tournaments and helped to run a couple of state tournaments along the way too. I look back with great fondness on the memories I have from those days. I even remember with particular clarity coming around the bar in one tournament and watching as yet another esteemed member of the Hall of Fame threw a great ball but left the pin and proceeded to turn around and drop his pants and show those pins his good side. That esteemed member just happens to be my son-in-law. Bowling has always been a part of the story of my family. From bowling with my wife when it was just the two of us, to watching my children and grandchildren join youth leagues and go on to bowl throughout their own lives. One of the greatest joys in my life has been coaching them and bowling alongside them. Together we bowled in leagues and countless tournaments, including 10 national tournaments that each came with their own stories, memories, and friends. In good times and bad, bowling has always been a part of the story. When my friend's grandson was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, we came together around bowling to raise funds for research and join together in community around them. When my grandson passed away, my son-in-law and I came together to put on another tournament in his memory and raise awareness for the critically important cause of organ donation. Life simply would not be the same without bowling and the many people it has brought into our lives. I spent 32 years as a member of the board, the last 6 as vice president, and I watched as the association grew and as the positive impact it had on the larger community grew with it. I have seen over the years the incredible impact that bowling can have on a community. I have also learned that the impact does not come without hard work of many people behind the scenes. Without those, others would not have the opportunity to bowl a 300, win a tournament, or make lifelong friends in the league team. I am honored that you all would come here tonight, in part to recognize my small role in that work over the years. However, I want everyone to know that none of it would have happened had it not been for many other people in my own life who did the same thing. Each of us has to do our part to pay that work forward in this community, and no one's work is insignificant. Community is created through many small acts from many people, and it is never the work of just one person. And I want to thank you all one more time from the bottom of my heart. I will always be honored to receive such an amazing recognition from this association and its members. Thank you.
George, out of all the stories,
Thanks, George. Thanks again for everything that you've done. Incredible stories, actually.